In 2005, a broke comic book company put its last superheroes up as collateral and borrowed $500 million. If one movie flopped, a bank would own the Avengers. That was Marvel, and it was not the first time the company bet everything it had. Marvel's whole story is one long gamble, everything on the table, again and again. How does a toy company end up owning the world's most famous heroes? How do you sell Spider-Man for less than the price of a house? How does a jailed actor become the safest bet in Hollywood? And how does a $4 billion price tag turn out to be a steal? To see how, you have to go all the way back to a company that picked a fight with Hitler. In 1941, a small comics company put a brand new hero on a cover, mid-punch. The man he was hitting was Adolf Hitler. America was not even in the war yet. It would not be for almost another year. The company was called Timely. A teenager named Stan Lee ran errands in the office. The comic sold nearly 1 million copies. Marvel was born picking a fight nobody else would. 20 years later, Timely became Marvel, and it did something strange. It made heroes who were a mess. Spider-Man could not pay his rent. The X-Men were hated by the people they saved. They argued, they doubted, they lost. That was the trick. They felt real, and the world fell in love with them. Those characters became worth a fortune Marvel was about to give away. Because Marvel owned a strange kind of treasure. It owned the heroes. It did not own their movies. So whenever money got tight, Marvel did the easy thing. It rented its characters out to film studios, cheap, studios that mostly did nothing with them. It felt like free money. It was a trap. And soon, the money ran out completely. In the 1990s, the comic book business crashed. People had been buying comics like stocks, sure they would be worth a fortune one day. They were not. Sales fell off a cliff, the debt piled up, and in 1996, the company that owned Spider-Man and the X-Men went bankrupt. The most famous heroes on Earth broke. Then, 2 billionaires went to war over the wreckage. One already owned Marvel, one held its debt. They fought in court for almost 2 years, while the company just sat there, dying. When the dust cleared, neither man won. The winner was a toy company. A maker of action figures merged itself into Marvel. Its bosses, a quiet money man and a toy designer, took over. A toy maker now owned the superheroes. Broke, and run by toy men, Marvel did the most desperate thing yet. It held a fire sale. It sold off the film rights to its heroes for almost nothing. The X-Men went to one studio. The Fantastic Four and their villain, Dr. Doom, went too. Marvel even offered a studio nearly every hero it had for $25 million, less than one big movie spends on posters. The studio said no. It only wanted one: Spider-Man. So Spider-Man went too, for about $7 million. Then those movies came out, and they made a fortune, for everyone but Marvel. So Marvel made an insane decision. If everyone else was getting rich off Marvel movies, Marvel would make its own. There was one problem. It had no studio, and no money. So it walked into a bank and borrowed $500 million. As collateral, it put up the only heroes it had left: Captain America, Black Panther, the Avengers themselves. If the films flopped, the bank would keep them. And then they bet it all, not on a famous hero, on Iron Man, a B-lister, starring an actor Hollywood had written off as uninsurable after years of addiction and jail. Robert Downey Jr. A young producer named Kevin Feige ran the whole thing. In 2008, Iron Man came out. It was a hit, and in one scene, after the credits, a man in an eye patch said something nobody understood yet. The Avengers Initiative, a plan no studio had ever dared to try. The bet paid. 1 year later, Disney bought Marvel for $4 billion. At the time, people thought Disney had wildly overpaid. They had not. Those heroes would earn that back many times over. Movie after movie clicked together into one giant story. The Avengers teamed up. Black Panther became a moment the whole world felt. And Endgame became, for a while, the biggest movie ever made. The broke little comic company now ruled Hollywood. But some of its heroes were still missing, the ones from the fire sale. So Disney simply bought the studio that had them, and just like that, the X-Men came home. And so did the Fantastic Four and their villain, Dr. Doom. Then, for the first time in a long time, Marvel stumbled. People got tired of superheroes. The films stopped landing. One of them became the lowest-earning Marvel movie ever. And the villain the whole next chapter was built around fell apart when the actor playing him was convicted of assault and dropped. Marvel was lost again. So it reached for the only move it has ever known, the big bet. And look who it bet on, Robert Downey Jr., the man who started it all. He is coming back, not as Iron Man, as the villain, as Dr. Doom, in a film called Doomsday. Think about that. The actor who saved Marvel once, and the villain it just won back from the fire sale, are now its rescue plan, together. It is the same move Marvel has always made. Everything on the table, again. Because that is the only way it has ever known how to win. One more thing. I'm Stick. I travel through time to bring you back the best stories. And I was in one of these pictures the whole time. Call it my kind of bet. Found me? Put the number in the comments. Missed me? I'm still in there. See you in the next one. Next mystery. The story of the richest man who ever lived.